Hi YouTube family, my name is Vicky and in today's video lab we will understand the data sources in Terraform. Before going to the demo, let's first understand what exactly the data source is and what exactly the requirement we have for the data source. Now, when we talk about the data source, this is the official definition you can read on the screen. So data sources allow Terraform to use information defined outside of Terraform, defined by another separate Terraform configuration. So in the layman term, you have resource created and you need to refer those resources in the Terraform. Let me give you one example. Let's suppose there is a VPC which is already created. With the help of Terraform, you are creating a new resource for the VPC, and in that VPC you want to include the same availability zone which is already created in your AWS account. So how you can do that? With the help of the data sources, you can give the reference to that. Let me explain this more in the simple term. When you need to fetch some data from the AWS, here I am working with the AWS cloud provider, so I'm only going to talk about the AWS. Let's suppose there is a elastic IP and you need to use that elastic IP when creating one of the EC2 machine. Now the elastic IP is already there in your account and you want to give that information while creating a new resource, EC2 resource, with the help of the Terraform. You can do that with the help of the data source. Let me give you one more example. Let's suppose there is a S3 bucket which is already created and you are in the process of creating a new S3 bucket, but you need to create your bucket in the similar way your existing bucket. So how you can do that? With the help of the data source. So for that, let me log into my AWS account. So here is my AWS account. So I already logged into it. Okay. Now let me open my PyCharm. So here is my PyCharm. Okay. And let me create one directory here with the name data, or let me give a name new data source demo. Okay. And I need to copy a couple of files over there, so let me copy a couple of files. Give me 1 minute. What I need to copy var.tf and I need to copy this provider.tf. Now why I need to copy this thing? Because I have my credentials here. Let me paste it here. Okay, we are done. So here we have the provider.tf, and in the provider.tf I have the access key, secret key and the region. So region which I'm going to use US East 1, that is North Virginia, and access key and secret key, for that I have already created one of the IAM user with the help of the programmatic access, and from there I have this access key and the secret key, and these values I have mentioned in my var.tf. Okay, and if you are not sure like how to configure the credentials in Terraform, I have already created one of the video where you will see a lot of ways to configure your access key and the secret key. So that is totally up to you how you want to proceed with that. You can go and watch that video so that you will get some idea how to configure the credentials. You can configure it on your local machine, you can configure it with the help of the variable files, you can configure it at the time of running your Terraform code. So there are a couple of ways by which you can configure it. Go and watch that video so that you will understand that thing. And here I'm going to create one more file with the name. Let me give a name like data.tf. Okay. Now let me go to the official documentation for the Terraform. So for that, what I need to do is Terraform DataSource EC2. Let me go for the EC2, or let me go to the VPC first. Now here what I need to do is I need to search for the data sources. So here I am in AWS VPC. If I scroll down, I will get information related to the data source. If not, what I need to do is I need to check it here. So AWS VPC. Let me scroll down a bit. Let's suppose default VPC. Now once I have selected the default VPC, here we have the resources and here we have the data sources. One more thing, data sources is not for every resource. It is for limited resource only. So you need to check the official documentation whatever the information you need to pull from your existing resource, is the data source available for that or not? If the data source is available, you can easily use that thing in your code. If it is not available, you have no option. You can create a local variable for that, and that is something I will tell you in the later videos, not in this video. So here if you see, we have the data source, but there is something not relevant. Let me click on AWS VPC, or okay, let's do a demo first. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a EC2 machine. Okay, so for EC2 AWS instance. Okay, and here we have the data source. Don't get confused with the AWS AMI. I will explain each and everything. Let me copy this code and let me paste it here. Now here we have the AWS instance, and here we have the logical name. Now the logical name is something that is totally up to your choice. You can give any name, so I'm going to change it to my instance. Here we have the AMI ID. For this demo, we are not going to use the AMI ID. Let me remove this thing, and this is something I will give hard coded. So for that, what I need to do is I need to go to my AWS and EC2. Let me open it in a new tab. I don't have any machine running, so let me create one machine. Okay, here is the AMI ID. Let me copy this thing. Here is my code. Let me update this value. Let me change it to T2 micro so that I will use the feed here, and we have the tags. Okay. Now here I am going to add one more thing. Let me go here and let me scroll down. So these are the arguments which we can give, and from these arguments I need to select the key pair. So here is the key name, optional key name of the key pair to use. So let me copy this thing, key underscore name. Okay, now this is something I can hard code, or I can provide it with the help of the data. So for that, what I need to do is let me go to my AWS console. So this is my AWS console. Let me go back. Let me come to my key pairs, and here I have a couple of key pairs. So let's suppose I need to use this key pair, but for this key pair I need the public IP, public file. So how we can do that? Let me copy this thing. There is something I can do hard coded. I can give this value here, but I am not going to give this value here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the data value for that. So for that, data. Now this is a block data. After that, we need to provide what data we need to fetch. So we need to fetch the key pair. So the name is AWS key pair. This is the one. Here you can provide the logical name. So let me provide some logical name like key pair. Now after that, count, depend, filter, we have all those things. So we need to provide the key pair name here. Now the key pair name is mine. And do we need any other information? Count, depend, for each. I think we are good, because provider information we have already provided in the provider.tf. Key pair ID, we don't need to provide, depend on. Yeah, we can ignore all those things. Or let me go to the official documentation. So here is the official documentation, and let me search for this AWS underscore key pair. Where is the data source for that? Data source. Here is. Now here it is giving you with the example. You can use the filter option here. Include public key true. Let me give this parameter here. Okay. And let me do one more thing. Let me comment all those things first, and let me print the public key of this, because I am using this variable include public key. So let's see if it is going to show me the public key for that or not. For that, let me use the output. In the output, I am going to give key pair, and in the value I am going to give data. I need to start with data. After that, whatever the name we have it here, then we need to provide the logical name. This is the logical name, and then dot id key name, whatever the information we need to provide. I'm not going to provide anything, so that it is going to print out everything for me. Okay, now let's run this thing. Cd cd new underscore data Terraform plan. Okay, first we need to run Terraform in it. I'm so sorry, we have created a new folder. It is not going to take much time. It is just initializing the backend and fetching the information like the provider version, Terraform version, everything. See, finding the latest version of the HashiCorp AWS, installing HashiCorp AWS. This is the version it is installing right now. I have not provided this version in my code, so it is fetching the latest one. Okay, if I need to provide, I can also do that, but again, I'm going to create a separate video on that, where I will tell you in detail how you can give the version ID in your provider.tf file. Terraform plan. Let's go with this. Here it is going to print out all the attributes which is there with this data. So now what exactly it is doing? It is creating an API call with the AWS, and from there it is fetching the data. So you can see key pair type is RSA, key pair name is this. It is also telling you the field creation time, ARN, and here you have the public key as well, and here you have the environment as well. So let me verify all those things whether we have these things over there. So this is the one. Let me go to the action and let me go to the manage tag. Yes, we have the environment dev. We have this. We have the same creation date, everything, and it is RSA. Type is RSA. So it is fetching all the details here. Now I can give this detail in my resource section as well. So let me create a resource for the EC2. Here in the key name, what I am going to do is I will provide the data value. So data dot AWS key pair, again the same name which is there. Then what we need to provide the logical name, whatever the name we have selected here. Then what I need to provide the key name. So if you see this name I need to provide, right? Key name. Okay. Now let me hide this thing. We don't need the output now. So let me hide this thing. And I think we are good. We are creating a resource AWS instance. And while creating the resource, we are using this key name. And this key name we are using with the help of the data. Okay. Now let me run this thing. Terraform plan. It is not going to take much time. Yes, correct. Now here if you see, plan is 1 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy, and if I scroll up a bit, here I can see key name is mine. Now this key name is coming from the data source. So this is how you can use the data source. I'm sure you still have a lot of question in your mind why we are using the data source like this. We can give this hard-coded value, or we can give this value in the var.tf file, but why we are going with this data value? Let me give you one more example so that you can understand how important this thing is. For that, let me delete all those things. Okay, and let's do one thing. For this, let me try to pick some value from here, from the VPC. From the VPC, let's suppose I need to pick up the internet gateway. This value I need to pick up. This value I don't know, and I need to pick up this value. So for that, what I need to do is I need to go with data AWS internet gateway. Yes, we do have a data for this, and let me copy this thing and let's go to the official documentation. Again, official documentation is very important because data source you will not get for every resource. So you always need to check whether the data source is available or not. See, we have the resources, we have the data source, and yes, we have the data sources available for internet gateway. Example, here it is giving you a variable for the VPC ID you can provide, and from here you can fetch this, you can filter this thing. Okay, let me copy this thing, let me remove all those things. Okay, data, let me give a logical name here, IGW. Filter is going to be attachment.vpc id, so it means that this is attached, this internet gateway is attached to the VPC, and here we need to provide the VPC information. So from where I will get the VPC information? From here, let me copy the VPC ID and let me provide it here. This is a list. Okay, now let me run it. Terraform plan, but before running the Terraform plan we need to check the output as well. So the output name is going to be IGW, and the value is going to be, again, start from data AWS internet gateway .igw, and here you can provide the attribute, but I am not going to provide the attribute. Let me print all the attributes so that we can see what all information we can get from here. So Terraform plan, it is not going to take much time. So it is just what exactly it is doing it in the background. It is doing the API call to the AWS resources, and what AWS resources? That is the internet gateway. Now here we have, here you can see we have the owner ID. This is my account ID. Let me see. Yes, the account ID is correct. Here we have the internet gateway IGW testing ending with DC3. Great. So it is actually printing out all the values for me. So these all values we can print. Now how we can print all those values? You can just give, let's suppose you need to check the owner ID. So here you can select the owner ID only. Okay, and let me rerun this thing, Terraform plan. Now it is only going to print the owner ID. It is not going to print all the values. In your code, you always go with a single attribute value, not with all the values. All the values I am showing you so that you can understand like what all you can print. So changes to the output. Now here it is printing only the owner ID. Great. Let me pull one more resource, and this time we are going to pull a resource. Now let's suppose I have this subnet, okay, and I need to check this subnet is connected to any of the route table or not, or which route table it is connected to. So for that, let me go and check whether we have a data source for that or not. So AWS route table, ROUTE route. Let me scroll. I think we don't have for this. Okay, let me provide the complete name. Route table. We have the resources, we have the data source, route 53 we don't need, we need it in the, so here is the VPC. Yes, we do have the route table and the route tables. Let me click on this. The following examples show how one might accept a route table ID as a variable and use this data source to obtain the data necessary to create a new route. Great, let me copy all those values here. Okay, and let me remove this thing for now. Variable, it is giving me the variable. You can provide the subnet ID here. So let me grab a subnet ID. So here is the subnet ID. Let me grab this thing. Okay, I have randomly picked one of the subnet ID, and here you can provide that subnet ID. Default is equal to this thing. Now this subnet ID is going to work where? Here. Or you can provide the hard-coded value like this as well. So data is AWS route table. Here is the logical name. So let me give RT. Here is the subnet, and here it is creating a resource as well. AWS route, and this is the logical name route. Route table ID, it is coming from here. So let me remove this thing, data dot AWS route table dot RT dot Now what value I need? I can print all those values, and if I'm not going to provide, what exactly it is going to do is it is going to print all the attributes for me. But let me go with the ID, route table ID. Okay, and here we have the destination CIDR block. This VPC peering we don't need, but we need to provide something. See, while creating a route table, we need to provide some information like the internet gateway, VPC peering, instance ID. Let me show you the error message so that you can understand this thing. So let's go with Terraform plan. Now here, if you see, one of the carrier gateway ID, core network ARN, egress only, internet gateway, these all values are missing. We need to provide one of the value here, must be specified. So let me go here and let me go to the route table. Whenever we are creating a route table, we need to provide this value. See, we need to provide this value. Let me edit this thing, and if I'm creating a new route, I need to provide something here. I need to provide the internet gateway, I need to provide the carrier gateway, I need to provide the NAT gateway. So these information I need to provide, and the same error message I am getting it here. So let me provide one information here, internet gateway. Do we have the internet gateway? Here we have the gateway ID, and this gateway ID I need to pick it from here. Let me copy this thing. Okay, let me cancel this thing. Now this one is looking fine. Yeah, everything is looking fine. Let me go and rerun my code. It's not a valid IP4 CIDR block. That's okay. Let me use something else. Let's rerun this thing. Now here for the route table, I am using this data value, and this data value is coming from this subnet. So whatever route table is connected to this subnet is going to print here. While creating a new resource, this value it is going to use here. Now route table is this, route table ID is this. Let me verify it. So 62F, 62F, 62F. Let me go to my subnet first. This is the subnet, and this subnet is connected to any route, 62F. Yes, it is connected to a route, and it is printing that value for me. Now see how much useful is this. Let me explain this code one more time. Here we have the subnet information only, and this subnet is connected to, might be multiple routes, or it might be connected to a single route. But at the time of creation of a new route, I just need to copy and paste the same information. So for that, what I did is I have created one data source, and in this data source, what value I'm getting the route table value. This is something I'm getting it automatically with the help of the data source. So if this subnet is connected to a different route, I will get a different value here. The same thing. If you see the route, it is showing you this thing. And if you need to verify this thing, let me do one thing. Let me create a route table here. Create route table, and I'm creating it manually. My route. Let me select the VPC. I only have one VPC, default VPC, so that is absolutely fine. Now I have the route table created, and let me connect one of the subnet to it. And I'm going to connect the same subnet, this one. Okay. Now let me go to the route, and let's see the route. My route table ID is this, ending with 519A. Okay. Let me rerun my code. Terraform plan. Now it is going to do the API call in the backend. So Terraform is going to connect to the API of the VPC, and from there it is going to grab the subnet ID and the route table information. See, route table ID ending with 519A. 519A. Very useful in the real world environment, because you don't have to update these information. If you are using a data value, the information is already updated, right? So this is very important. Data sources is very important. You can go and check the official documentation, play with it. It's very easy. You just need to understand the block. So like here you have data sources for the route table. Likewise, you have data sources for many things. Let me go and check for the EC2. So here we have the resources section, and here we have the data sources section. So let's suppose I need to print the AWS EIP, Elastic IP. So how to get that Elastic IP? With this. And how we can give that information? The same way, like this. If we need to provide that information, it is going to start with data. Then we have whatever the information we need to pull. This is the resource name. Then we have the logical ID or the logical name, and then the attribute. And if you are not sure what attribute you need to use, so it's very simple. Let me remove this thing. Let me go with the output. So let's suppose RD. Here what you need to do is you need to give data AWS route table RT dot. Don't give dot here, don't give any ID here, and let's print it. Terraform here. Again, it is not going to take much time. So now here you have all the ID changes to the output. You have the ARN, you will get the ARN. So dot ARN, if you provide, what will happen? You will get this value. You have the filter option, gateway ID, owner ID, route table ID, routes, subnet ID, tags, everything, every information you will get. So you just need to give that attribute here, whatever the attribute you need to print. So let's suppose I need to print the ARN. I have updated my code. Let me run the Terraform plan again. Now it is only going to print the ARN for me. Only the ARN ID I am getting now. Now this ARN ID, I can use it in my resource as well. And how we can use it in the resource? It's easy. We just need to go with the same formula like data, AWS, whatever the name we have it here, dot this, and in the end dot ARN. We can use that value. I hope you understand the data sources. Again, data sources is very important in the Terraform. Okay. If you have any question or comment, you can always mention it in the comment section. And if you like this video, hit the like button. And if you still not subscribed my channel, I request you to subscribe and support. Thank you.